شہ کربلا کو آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے جو بھی گرتا ہے اس غم میں آنسو کوئی بیکار جاتا نہیں ہے آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو
فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. صل على محمد محمد عجل الفرج. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، وتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمته، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجه. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمه رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا صيحي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ تحت الكساء. قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء بطرف الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم، وسلم لمن سالمهم، وعدو لمن عاداهم، ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل سلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا كمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري، إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي، ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها ومعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل: يا ربي، أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل فقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى، يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام، ويقول لك: وعزته وجلاله، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري، إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم قد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمينا، وهي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء، فقال لأبيه: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله، أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محافل من محافل أهل الأرض، وفيهم جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا، إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وهفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال النبي ثانيا وعلي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محافل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا ما كشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا ما قضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة رب الكعبة. اللهم صل على
صلوات. رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، زخم کھانے کے لیے، زخم کھانے کے لیے، آنسو بہانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، لائی تھی دو پھول اپنی گود میں میرا باپ، لائی تھی دو پھول اپنی گود میں میرا باپ، ایک مقتل کے لیے، ایک قید خانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، ڈھونڈنے نکلے ہیں آدھا گوشت خیمہ کی طرف، ڈھونڈنے نکلے ہیں آدھا گوشت خیمہ کی طرف، لاشیں بشیر نے پر اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، نوک نیزہ پر اٹھا کر شام کے بازار میں، نوک نیزہ پر اٹھا کر شام کے بازار میں، شمر لہراتا تھا چادر دل دکھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے، آتے جاتے جس کو دیکھو ظلم کرتا ہے شدید، آتے جاتے جس کو دیکھو ظلم کرتا کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے روتے روتے جا رہی ہے بیٹی سوئے القما روتے روتے جا رہی ہے بیٹی سوئے القما نیل رخساروں کے غازی کو دکھانے کے لیے رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے رہ گئی بیٹی علی کی غم اٹھانے کے لیے صلوات
صلوات اماں فضا بتا دے مجھ کو پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں اماں فضا بتا دے مجھ کو پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں کیسا ہے یہ چراغاں دل ڈوبے جا رہے ہیں کیا شام آ گیا ہے اماں فضا بتا دے مجھ کو پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں ہونے لگی اذانیں کیسے سروں کو ڈھانپیں بازو بندھے ہوئے ہیں خون رو رہی ہے آنکھیں آنکھوں کے خون سے رستے خون میں نہا رہے ہیں کیا شام آ گیا ہے اماں فضا بتا دے مجھ کو پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں نیزوں پہ جتنے سر ہیں ایک سر ہے ایسا آنکھیں ہیں بند اس کی اور خاک پر ہے گرتا عباس کا یہ سر ہے تیور بتا رہے ہیں کیا شام آ گیا ہے اماں فضا بتا دے مجھ کو پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں اتنا چلے ہیں پیدل کانٹوں پہ سارے قیدی تھک جاتی چلتے چلتے چلتی اگر زمین بھی پیروں کے آبلے بھی آنسو بہا رہے ہیں کیا شام آ گیا ہے اماں فضا ماؤں کی گودیوں سے لپٹے ہوئے ہیں بچے ہے ہاتھ رسیوں میں ماؤں سے ایسے جھکڑے بچے جو گر رہے ہیں وہ مرتے جا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے، اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں، کیسا ہے یہ چراغاں، دل ڈوبے جا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے، اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں۔ صلوات۔ Now we'd like to invite Sheikh Muhammad Mehdi to recite the Majalis for tonight. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بفضل الله، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Some titles have exclusivity to some individuals. When we look at the names of Allah Azza wa Jal, there are titles that we could mention upon people. For example, someone's generous, we could say this person is Kareem, or this person is Jawad. Someone's merciful, we could say this person is Rahim. However, even with these titles, we do not understand the generosity when we compare it to Allah. Because when you give, you are giving something that's not yours to begin with. It's God's. Allah gives, and He gives what is His to begin with. When I give, I expect something in return. Might not be from you, If I'm someone that does for the akhirah, I still expect something in return from Allah. Even the righteous expected return from Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal gives for no return. When it comes to even the titles of awliyaullah, some titles can be given amongst them all, and some are exclusive. For example, the title of Amir al-Mu'mineen is exclusive to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. That even when someone came and said to the second holy Imam, Ya mudhill al-mu'mineen, you debaser or humiliator of the believers, the Imam was not startled. But on the next day, when the person called him Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Imam was angered. He said, what you said yesterday was different to what you say today. How dare you give a title that's exclusive to Ali ibn Abi Talib? However, when I look at the other titles of the Imams, they are not exclusive. If I said Al-Mujtaba, all the Amma alayhim salam, the title of Imam Hassan are Mujtaba, Allah has chosen them. If I said Al-Shaheed, the title of Imam Hussein, all the Imma are Shuhada. If I said the title of Baqir, Sadiq, Qadam, all these titles can be given to all the Imams. But one of them, their role exemplified this title. And this is why, when we look at the worship and the asceticism and the bondage of Ali ibn al-Hussein, we are left with no doubt but to say, Huwa Zayn al-Abidin. He is the ornament, the decoration of the worshippers. If you see someone that's a abid, this is the ornament of him. This is the one that looks out and comes out amongst the lot. When it comes to his worship, when you think about worship, the best manifestation of worship, without a doubt, is as-salat. In fact, as-salat holds such a lofty position that when we talk about salat, it is the first thing we mention in Furu'at-Din, before anything else. When we talk about salat, anyone that does not pray, look at the narrations. Before we even talk about those that do not pray, those that take their prayers lightly, look what the narrations say. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe unto those that do pray. وَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَهُونَ. They're neglectful of their prayers. They're forgetful. They put it aside. In fact, Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, on his last words was, our intercession does not reach those that take their prayers lightly. Forget about the ones that don't pray. The ones that don't pray are considered in our religion, Tariq al-Salat is considered Kharij an al-Millah. The Messenger of God says, bury them with the Jews or the Christians. To that point. In fact, the Messenger of God, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, says that if your prayers are accepted, all your actions are accepted. If they're rejected, all your actions are rejected. So without a doubt, this is the strongest manifestation or enactment of worship. And the Messenger of God says, As-salat, Amud ad-Din. Amud ad-Din, it's the pillar of religion. You know, when we talk, to understand what we're talking about, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, was killed. He was struck while he was praying in the house of God. And when he was struck, Jibreel called out in the heavens, Tahaddamat Wallah Arkan al-Huda. The religion was the pillar of, Salat is the pillar of religion. Ali is the pillar of guidance. Do you imagine the status that Salat holds? The position that Salat holds? In fact, when we do ziyarah of the Imam, what do we say? Ashhadu. I testify. Annaka, it says Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salat. We testify to this. Why is this so relevant? Tell people prayer. They look at prayers with, in a way, you know, you hear someone say, you know, what's the significance that I have to get up and pray? People question this at times. You know, I remember once I was with a friend of mine and we were studying after school. It was in about year 10. And he had a maths tutor. The maths tutor came up and he was teaching him, and the maths tutor was a Muslim. And then it was Maghrib time, so I said, my friend, let's get up and pray. I didn't say nothing to the tutor. He looked at me and said, I don't pray. And I said, you know, but he was older than me, so I had to be very respectful. You know, I didn't want to give him the service I give some people. I said, when he said, I don't pray, and I was saying, like, you know, what a shameless thing to say. You know, people don't go to the toilet in public, you know. You hide this, you hide your art. Don't tell people this. So you can, and then he said, do you know why? And once again, I wasn't really interested in what he was saying. He said, because the people that pray lie. Now I don't care if he's 90 years old. I don't care if he's an uncle. When he said the people that pray lie, Rasulullah prays. Amir al-Mu'mineen prays. Fatima prays. So when he says something, he's made a direct attack on all the believers. I then turned to him and I said, well, the people that lie also eat and they breathe air. Why don't you stop eating and breathing air too? You know, because you're helping them in this case too. And your argument is pointless. He wanted to justify why he doesn't pray. At the same token, the honest people pray. Why didn't you use that as an argument? The honest people pray. Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salat. Why do I testify to this? Because I'm grateful. Ya Abu Abdullah, I'm grateful that if it weren't for you, I would be worshipping other than God. If it wasn't for you, I'd be following the idols, the other people that claim Islam. You notice when they talk, the whole discussion is about venerating the enemies of God. Other religions also. They talk about things that are foreign to what God had taught. You know, sometimes you'll see someone preaching their beliefs. For example, a Christian, when he talks about Christianity, the focus of Christianity are the teachings of St. Paul that didn't even know Christ, never saw Christ. But for some reason, he has a valid position in Christianity. And likewise, with some Islamic sects, the people that are venerated never hold a sword in battle. In fact, they were the first to run when anything went wrong, but they're the people that are praised. We would not know our religion, we would not know the pillar of our religion. This is why I testify that they establish the prayers. قَدْ أَقَمْتَ الصَّلَاةِ. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He mentions these people, He said these people that we give them authority. الَّذِينَ إِن مَكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ. They establish the prayer. These people that Allah has placed are the ones that establish the prayer. Not omit, as they say, which isn't true, but they say the reason that somebody took out Hayya ala khayr al-amal from the Adhan because he didn't want people to prefer prayers over war. But that's not true. The reason he took it out was far more sinister. Because khayr al-amal was who? Wilayat Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he removed this to remove the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. But they used the excuse for the other thing. But even the other thing is even as sinister. To place something above Salat, that Amir al-Mu'mineen in the middle of the battle of Siffin, someone asked the Imam, is it the time for Adhan al-Dhuhr? And the Imam said, yes. And another man said, what are you thinking about war, fighting when in the middle of a war, praying when in the middle of a war? And the Imam said, for what have you come to fight? What is the reason you're here? You're here for war booty? What are you here for? You're here to establish the prayer. Look at the Quran. قاتلهم. It says, fight them until there's no more fitna. And the deen remains for who? The religion for Allah. That I must establish this prayer. The one that inherits those that Allah gave authority to are the ones that establish the prayer. That's why we say, Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta salat. But what does it mean to, what is iqamat as-salat? What does it mean to establish prayer? See, because if I say, Aqimuddin, as is mentioned, Aqimuddin, establishing religion is different to what? It's different to having religiosity. It's different for me to being religious and me establishing religion. See, it's having the presence in my heart. From the beginning of wudu until the ta'qibat of the salah, when I finish my prayers. I have to have this presence within myself. There are those that just go and pray and just tick, yes, I prayed subh, tick. I prayed dhuhr, tick. I prayed asr, it's just let's get it out of the way and move. You go to Hajj, yes, I performed Hajj, tick. I did ziyarah this many times, tick, tick, tick. It's like when people ask me, how many children do you have? I always say I wait till they are older and then I'll count them. So why? I said, some of them you don't know if they're going to be something you're going to be proud of or not. When people ask you how many times you've been to the Hajj, I said, I don't know. Don't know which one was even accepted. How many times you've been ziyarah? I don't know. I don't even know which one Allah has accepted. We go, yes, we're going on holiday. I want to be able to go with my heart. I want to be able to go with that presence within. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi says in a hadith, وَيَأْتِ عَلَىٰ أُمَّتِي زَمَنٍ, time will come upon my nation, لَا يَبْقَى مِنَ الْإِسْلَامِ إِلَّا اسْمُهُ. A time will come where all that will remain of Islam is what? Its name. I'm a Muslim. What do you mean you're a Muslim? Do you know Muslims today are more preoccupied in fighting Islam than in practicing Islam? They'll come up and they'll say, I'll sit down and they say to me, what's your opinion? Someone came up to me and said, what's your opinion of the movie Lady of Heaven? That's the first. And I said, brother, what is with this question? You got problems. This world is deviating and rotting and decaying, and this is your problem? This is what keeps you up at night? What's your opinion of tatbir? These are the questions people ask. They just want to ask, what can I do to cause more fitna between the Muslims? How can I sit and fight between the Muslims? Infight. Where can I look to cause problems? Let me sit there, let me compromise all my beliefs. Let me just give up everything that I believe in. Why? Just so I can be a part of this world. So I can be a contributing member to the world around me. You know something? You know what the population of Jews are in this world? How many do you think? They're less than 20 million, about 15 million. Do you know why Jews are so respected? Because they don't compromise their religion. Did you know that? They don't compromise. There was a president of a football club in Melbourne called the Melbourne Demons. His name was Joseph Gutnick. Joseph Gutnick, you know, in AFL, when do they play? They play on a Saturday. And remember the Sabbath? To keep it holy. He doesn't watch the games. He's the president of a football club. Doesn't watch the games because the Sabbath is holy. Do you think they get up and write articles about him and smash him from pillar to post? No. In fact, he did something where others would have got grilled. Do you know what he said? They wanted to draft a player, and this player that they were looking at, the position they wanted, was Jewish. He said, no, do not draft him, because then you are enabling him to work on the Sabbath. So do not draft him. This is what he said. And do you know, no one said this is nonsensical. Why? Because if they do, all the Jews unite together and fight against what's going on. When Muslims, when something happens, I remember a person in this region many years ago. He lives out west, I think around near Young, down southwest. So when we're taking out west, but down southwest. He made a comment. Now, his comment that he made was a poor use of the English language. I would have said it was a faux pas. Okay. This person was an extremist. Now he's become more moderate Salafi. He was an extremist Salafi, now he's a moderate Salafi. But every Muslim, Sunni, Shi'i, whoever, just started smashing him. I remember at the time I got up and defended his comment. Why? Because this is what the Jews do. They defend each other when it comes to this. Because I said his comment was based on this, and it was. He actually mentioned this, but everyone ignored his defense. Do you know why? Because they're all hell-bent on destroying each other. You know? Did you know that how many schools do we have here? Islamic schools. If you notice, all of them will deal. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not here to win friends. I don't care what happens with the comments I make. They will deal with all the Shia ones with the Sunni schools. But with each other, it's like magnets. They repel each other, they're not attracted to each other, and they walk away from each other. This is the world you live in. Why? Because لا يبقى من الإسلام إلا اسمه. I'm a Muslim. Let's come together now. This person does taqleed of that marsha. That person does taqleed of that marsha. But I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah. I have a problem with these people. But they're Muslims. Muhammadun Rasulullah. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. Isn't that what the Quran says? Muhammad is the messenger of God. And the people with him, his followers, are what? They're stern against the unbeliever. And they are merciful to one another. Then he says, وَلَا مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ إِلَّا رَسْمُ. All that will be left of the Quran is rasmu. People read the Quran and أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. They read a verse in the Quran, they walk straight past it. مِرَارَ الْقُرْآنِ. They read a verse, and then when you tell them, for example, عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَأِ الْعَظِيمِ. يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, there is a conflict between people over the great event, or the great news, it should be. They always write event. It's a great news. الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ. They're asking about, and they are in conflict of what? This great news. They come up to the Imam and they say, is it the Quran? Is it the Day of Judgment? These are the questions they ask. Listen to this. I don't need to tell you what the Imam says. I want you to use your brains. How many people are in conflict over the Day of Judgment? The Jews, do they believe in the Day of Judgment? The Christians, do they believe in the Day of Judgment? The Muslims, all the sects, do they believe in the Day of Judgment? So where's the conflict? Every Mufassir, what do they write? The Day of Judgment. And the Imam's actually asked. You look in Nur al-Thaqalain, al-Burhan, he's actually asked. Another one. The Quran. From every sect of Islam, is there a Muslim that in fact, all the Qur'ans we have, all the Qur'an, which is not plural for, but the book, most of them are printed in Saudi Arabia. They all read the Salafi, the Daeshi that wants to cut your head off, reads the same Quran as the extremist Shia. They read the same Quran. Is there ikhtilaf there? So they read the Quran. لا يتدبرون القرآن. So they ask Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, who is it? He says it's Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali is the great news, the wilayah of Ali. Something so simple, people just look, it's just, they learn, you sit there, they'll sit there and they'll learn the etiquettes of reciting. Brother, I'm on wudu, I respect the Quran. What respect do you have the Quran if you don't understand what you're reading? You know when the story between Bahlul and the Alim, and he says to him, do you know how to eat? And he says, yes. So how do you eat? He says, I wash my hands, I sit, I chew. And he starts talking, and he said, you don't even know how to eat. What's the most important thing when you're eating? What is it? That what you're eating is halal, it's permissible. That's the most important thing. What's more important than being on wudu, than reciting the Quran, respect, is understanding what you're reading. Sit there and reflect about what you are reading. What am I reading? Am I understanding the message of God or not? So when I uphold my prayers, what am I doing? Where am I standing? Who am I talking to? What position am I in? This is Iqamat as-Salah. I need to know its laws. I need to know how it's performed. And I need to know them to the nth degree. I must know them with absolute understanding of why I am praying. When I'm standing, why do I stand? When I do takbir al-ihram, why do I do takbir al-ihram? Why do I genuflect, ruku'? Why do I do sujood? These are obviously for another discussion, because the verse then says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Mu'minun, it says, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Now, this is where we come to Ali ibn al-Hussein to understand. Khashi'un, someone that is submissive in their prayers. They have humility in their prayers. Not I wake up first thing in the morning. You know, you get people that call you, says, can I pray in my underwear? No, these are the type of questions people ask. Yeah, you'd be surprised. Can I pray in my underwear? These are the questions people ask. You'll be surprised. That's the questions they ask you. They ask you questions of how. Is that how you go for a job interview, my friend? Do you go to work in your underwear? How do you pray? الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ khashi'un. You hear the word khudu' and you hear the word khushu'. Now, khudu' and khushu' are different and similar. Khudu' is the external submissiveness. Khudu' can sometimes be feigned. You might see someone say, Allahu Akbar, Bismillah, and it's something that they're feigning. This is what we call, when someone shows religion but there's nothing there, it's hypocrisy. My love has to be more inside, that it reflects. And that's why when someone says to you, sometimes I can't cry. I listen to the Majalis of Abdullah al-Hussein, I can't cry. I remember someone asked me, he said, I enter a Majlis, I see people crying before the Majlis begins. He said, I can't do this. I said, you need to be more with Abu Abdullah. Sit more and learn. So when you start understanding who he is, that's when it will hit you. You'll understand when the Imam says to him, Ya Qatil al-Abarat. People immediately begin to show signs that when I pray and I understand where I am, then I will have that presence. And this is where the fifth holy Imam, Al-Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, explains what his father Ali ibn al-Hussein was like. To understand the khudu'. He says, وَكَانَ إِذَا قَامَ فِي صَلَاتِهِ غَشِيَ لَوْنَهُ لَوْنٌ آخَرٌ. When he got up to pray, his color of his skin would change. Sometimes you're sitting with someone and you give them good news. You can see their face changes, it gets happy. You can see before they even smile, you can see they're about to smile. When someone, you see a reaction. Sometimes, for example, I use this example in cricket. I said, when the bowler's running up, a lot of times they even cover the ball. They don't want to even show their grip on the ball. Everything, their reaction, every movement, they call this telegraphing. The batsman, because there's a split second to play that shot, he has to realize where the ball's going to be released. Everything, and he knows what's going to be released. What's going to become is a slower ball, it's a shorter pitch, it's a full length, and he knows, and he has a split second just on the reaction. Likewise in fighting, in boxing, they call this telegraphing as well. If I can see where they twitch, that's why they look at their chest, where they twitch, which punch, that's why you fake, that you can see before it comes out. That effect is there. When someone gives you bad news, likewise, I'm ready for it. I get up to pray. I realize where I'm standing. Just have that moment. When you go to Hajj, and you're about to put on the ihram, you sit and you think, look at me, this miserable sod, I've come back, and I'm just going to become the same person again. Am I going to change? And have that moment, that realization, even though more than likely you're going to come back in the same position, have that moment, but in the end, you'll understand why I'm saying you need to have this moment. He says, وَكَانَ قِيَامُهُ فِي صَلَاتِهِ قِيَامَ الْعَبْدِ الذَّلِيلِ بَيْنَ يَدَيِ الْمَلِكِ الْجَلِيلِ. He would stand like a humbled slave in front of what? Like a magnificent king or master. Imagine that position. The awe that they have. Look at someone you really revere and respect, how you stand in front of them. I'm standing in this, that's how I stand. Stand like a beggar. Everything is in his hands. Then he said, كانت أعضاؤه ترتعد من خشية الله عز وجل. His hands, his legs, all his body would quiver and tremble from the awe and the reverence of God, the fear of God. That position, that's what we, خشية الله. Who are you standing in front of? This is the khudu'. As for the khushu', which is the internal submissiveness, this cannot be feigned. It's there or it's not. This is beautiful. Why? Because this is between you and God. This is where no one knows what's inside. I know whatever I think. You won't know. I might give you a gift. You don't understand what my reason is. I could get up here. You don't know if I'm getting up here for what? Fame. I'm getting up here to show off. I'm getting up here to flex. What am I up here for? You don't know if I'm grandstanding. What do you know? You know why you're here. Do you know about anybody else? This is why, with the one of the sayings of Confucius, they say that he says that a man that knows another man is wise, a man that knows himself is enlightened. Knowing yourself, understanding what you're actually doing. Taban, we got better sayings from the Imams. I'm just saying that they have even these things to actually know yourself. Inside, what am I here for? Inside, the best part of it is huwa alimun bidat as-sudur. Allah ya'lamu kha'inat al-a'yun. Allah knows what? Your peripheral vision. And sometimes someone's looking and they're checking out a woman and they pretend they're not looking. And they're using their peripheral vision or checking out something they shouldn't be looking at. Or, when someone covers their eye from something and they still got, Allah knows. وَهُوَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. What you're really thinking about. My real intention when I do something. When you understand this and you get up to pray, that's that moment that you have. He knows. When you start to realize this and realize this, you feel, and then it becomes what? Present within you. He said, وَكَانَ يُصَلِّ صَلَاةَ مُوَدِّعٍ يَرَى أَنَّهُ لَا يُصَلِّ بَعْدَهَا أَبَدًا. He would pray a farewell prayer when he got up to pray, as if I'm not going to pray again. Do you want to understand what a farewell prayer is? Have a look at a death row inmate. When they send a priest to be with him for his last moments. Have you ever seen any time they interview a death row inmate? You will never see authenticity like this in your life. The way that they talk, they spit out pieces of wisdom. Do you know why? They say words of wisdom. Why? Because they've got nothing else. They're not culpable for anything else. They're never going to get done for. They're going to die. So they say exactly what they're thinking. That last moment you get authenticity. I am about to leave, oh Allah. I get up to pray. How do I pray? I pray, oh Allah, I'm here to pray. I'm in this state. I prepare myself for this. And then he says, وَلَقَدْ صَلَّ ذَاتَ يَوْمٍ فَسَقَطَ الرِّدَاء عَنْ أَحَدِ مَنْكِبَيْهِ فَلَمْ يُسَوِّهِ حَتَّى فَرَغَ مِنْ صَلَاتِ. He says, while he was praying, his abaya came off one of his shoulders. He just continued praying. He said he didn't fix it. Someone asked him, فَسَأَلَهُ بَعْضُ أَصْحَابِهِ عَنْ ذَلِكَ. Why didn't you fix it? He said, فَقَالَ وَيْحَكَ أَتَدْرِ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ مَنْ كُنْتِ. So what I want to you, do you know who I was standing before? You think I'm going to worry about this? On the day of judgment, where God says, يَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَىٰ يَدَيْهِ, the oppressor will bite on his hand. Why? Because he will be shocked. يَوْمَ تَشْخَصُ الْأَبْصَارِ, the eyes will be fixed in horror. Do you know where I am? How do I achieve this, moving in this direction? One of the first things, when someone says to me, I want more tawajjuh in salah, I always tell them, stay on wudu. Stay on wudu throughout your whole day. Don't ever lose wudu. Stay on wudu. If you're not going to stay on wudu, at least get on wudu before prayers. Don't wait till it's adhan time and go do your wudu. Do your wudu before it's prayer time. Secondly, If you're not going to pray in a masjid or in a center, make in your house anyway. Because you pray a lot of, most of your prayers are prayed where? At home. Have a niche in your house, somewhere where you pray, where you don't have pictures on the wall, you don't have anything that's going to what? I know a lot of parents are going to have difficulty with this because, every now and then you get used as a pony by your children or something like that, or the odd thing gets cracked across your head while you're praying. This happens, but have a place where I can actually pray like this. Another thing, and I avoid being distracted, another thing which is good is to have the adhan in the house. Do you know if the adhan is recited in the house for every prayer? You recite, when someone calls me, they'll ask about things that I don't really particularly understand or go into. People come up and talk to me, questions about jinn, black magic, envy, ayn. I tell them, listen, recite the adhan for your prayer. It gets rid of everything. Whatever you're thinking of, just recite the adhan. Because you're in there, whatever someone's done, you say Allahu Akbar. Do you know what Allahu Akbar means? Listen to this. Do you know when we were given Allahu Akbar, the Prophet said he puts the fear into the hearts of the enemy. That word. It does, puts fear into. So Allahu Akbar, people, they freeze when they hear that word. But the mu'min, when he hears Allahu Akbar, he grows. He hears the call of his Lord. To recite the Adhan and the Akama before the prayer. Once the Messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, he entered the masjid, he saw someone praying. You know those people, like you see them, they're praying, it's like they're in an Olympic pool. They're about to jump off the platform and dive. He's from ruku', he'll dive straight into sujood. Doesn't even stand up afterwards. His ruku' enters his sujood. Use Allahu Akbar, Subhana before he even gets into ruku', he gets back up. He's Sami Allah, he's into his sujood. And he's just like basically, his head's just tapping the floor or the turba. And the Prophet says, when he sees him, he says, Naqar. He says, Naqara ka naqri al-ghurab. It's like, when you see the crow, how it pecks. This is what this person doing. You see the crow picking out something. This person's not praying. He says, لو مات على هذا مات على غير دين محمد. This person dies like this, he has died on other than my religion. The Prophet said this. The other thing when you pray, reflect over what you were saying. I'm not telling you to pray slow. Sometimes you might pray too slow and your head goes everywhere. And even if you look, when you hear hadith, Amir al-Mu'min used to pray 1,000 rakat, or Imam Zain al-Abidin, the same hadith, prayed 1,000 rakat. He prayed 2 rakat, he had 500 date palms that he had planted. He used to pray 2 next to each one. So if he was praying slow, there's no way he would have done 1,000, because they're humans and they live like humans, even though their connection to the heavens is another story. We're not getting into this. But when they do an action, they do what a human does. They don't do a miracle action. You know why? Because they got to teach us. So he would pray in a certain way. We're not telling you, but reflect over what you say. When you pray every time, there's an exclusivity to Allah. We don't talk in plural. It's singular. Problem is in English, you is singular, dual, plural, masculine, feminine don't exist anymore anyway. But this is what's happened now. So you, back in the old days, was what? You had thee, and you had thou. Thee was singular, and thou was plural. Iyaka is thee. Iyaka, you, only you, do we worship, do we serve. Why? Iyaka, you, and only you, do we ask for help. Now listen, don't go literalist on me. This does not mean Iblis and Wahhabi, I turn only to Allah and I don't go through the Imam. Don't go literalist on me. It's in the ways that Allah told you, but it's Him. It's only Allah that I turn to. Only you and no one else I ask for help. Only you alone. And this is where Ali ibn al-Hussein alayhi salam in his dua, look what he says to let you understand this relationship when you're praying. In one of his du'as in the Sahifa, he says, ذَلَّتْ لِقُدْرَتِكَ الصَّعَابِ. ذَلَّتْ. The difficult things became ذَلَّتْ. They became humbled. They became, in other words, the hardships, وهو عندي, as Imam al-Hujjah al-Mahdi in Dua al-Iftitah, وعندي كثير وهو عليك سهل يسير. ذلت لقدرتك, because of your ability, everything's easy. How easy is it for God? Do you want to know? See this universe that people just sit there and bask under this night sky and think, what am I looking at? This universe for God is as easy to make as a loaf of bread. Do you understand what I mean? It's not me and you. It's not, do I have a big job or a small job, a hard job or an easy job? No, it's all the same. It happens. He just wants it. It happens. Then he says, وَتَسَبَّبْ بِلُطْفِكَ الْأَسْبَابِ. In fact, sometimes I'll ask Allah a dua, I want something. People say to me, I ask, if this is good, give it to me. I say, I don't say that. They say, what do you say? I say, oh Allah, I really want this thing, so make it good for me. Why? Because He can. He can make it good. Allah yusabbibul asbab. I want it. I'm begging for this, and you can make it good. So make it good for me. Then he says, وَجَرَى بِقُدْرَتِكَ الْقَضَاء. Everything that's made or happened or meant to be, it happens through you. Allah is the way. You want to understand, why do you think, for example, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, when they used to ask him, he said, لا يزيدني كثرة الناس حولي عزة. I used to always, this is mind-boggling. He said, if I get a lot of people with me, I don't get any mightier. If you go out in safety numbers, I have a lot of people around me, I feel strong. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I have a lot of people around me, it doesn't make me feel any mightier. وَلَا تَفَرُّقُهُمْ عَنِّي وَحْشًا. And if they all leave me and I'm left alone, I don't feel lonely. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, what makes you like this? He says, لِأَنِّي مُحِقٌّ وَاللَّهُ مَعَ الْمُحِقِّ. I'm in the right, Allah is with me. When I'm in the right, Allah is with me. That's when Allah Azza wa Jal says to Musa and Harun, go to Pharaoh. Imagine you're sent to a tyrant that's ruling upper and lower Egypt, everything, and all you have is a stick. Really? And then Allah says, go. Inni ma'akum, I'm with you. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, do you know what Allah actually said to them? He said, Ya Musa, Pharaoh does not act without my permission. He does not breathe except with my permission. So when you actually think about this, do you know how big you become? I was actually talking to my son-in-law today. I said, one of the things we never talk about, Basra, if you actually talk about the Market al-Jamal in Basra, Amir al-Mu'mineen was asleep. Some of these stories, you read them, they blow your mind. He was awoken because the battle was getting heated. He got up and there was arrows flying past him and he was just walking. I was said like someone taking their cup of coffee and their paper, walking through the middle of a battle. Why? Because he knows who's guarding him. He doesn't need all these guys. He knows the eye that doesn't sleep. Not literal, in case a Salafi is listening. The eye that doesn't sleep is watching him. So anyway, he says here, وَمَضَتْ عَلَىٰ إِرَادَتِكَ الْأَشْيَاء. Everything happens with your ability. Everything's in Allah. فَهِيَ بِمَشِيئَتِكَ دُونَ قَوْلِكَ مُؤْتَمَنَ. You know what he's saying here? The Imam's saying, oh Allah, things happen by what you desire, not with your saying. You don't even need to say it. You're saying, imagine you're asking someone to scratch your back. You tell them, can you move up a bit, move to the left? Yeah, you got it right, and they move. You didn't do it the way I'm asking you to do it. This is the spot. Everything happens without Allah saying for. It does. Everything happens bimashi'atillah. What Allah pleases. What Allah wills. And then he says, فَهِيَ بِمَشِيئَتِكَ دُونَ قَوْلِكَ مُؤْتَمِرًا نامت عيون خلقك وهدأت أصوات عبادك. When he's talking to the Imam, this is his dua in Salat al-Layl in the night. He said, all your creation is asleep. And then he says, وهدأت what? He says, وهدأت أصوات عبادك. And everyone's gone quiet. وغلقت ملوك بني أمية عليها أبوابها. Banu Umayyah, the kings of Banu Umayyah, Imam Zain Abdi says, have locked their doors. You know, when you're late at night, you want to have a feed, you start looking for places open to eat, and they're all closed. You'd start to find something. Where is somewhere open all hours? If I want to go to someone gets sick, I can't go to the emergency room. You'll probably wait till the next day before they actually see you, before the triage sees you or something. You know what's going to happen. Everything closes. No one wants to know you. He says here that the guards are around them, he says. He says, وَطَافَ عَلَيْهَا حُجَّابُهَا وَاحْتَجَبُوا عَمَّنْ يَسْأَلُهُمْ حَاجَةً. So they're not there to listen to anyone's problems. Go to government offices. They close on the weekends. They close in the afternoon. You know, you call Vodafone in the middle of the night. It says, oh, we're only open office hours. Call us tomorrow. Everyone doesn't want to know you. No one's there. And then the Imam says, this is where the love comes in. This is where Ali ibn al-Hussein shows how much Allah is to us. I'm nothing. What am I? I started off as what? A najis, and I die as a najis. I'm nothing. And then he says, wa anta ilahi. Hayyun qayyum. You are living, you are self-subsisting. La ta'khuduka sinatum wa la nawm. You don't even sleep for a minute moment. You don't sleep, you're always there. He says, وَلَا يَشْغَلُكَ شَيْءٌ عَنْ شَيْءٍ. If you're preoccupied with something, it doesn't preoccupy you with something else. You can do everything at once. And he says, أَبْوَابُ سَمَاوَاتِكَ لِمَنْ دَعَاكَ مُفَتَّحَاتٌ وَخَزَائِنُكَ غَيْرُ مُغَلَّقَاتٌ. You are there, your heavens are open for you to ask. And you don't stop giving. Imam al-Hujjah, Ajjallah Farjuh Sharif, says, Al-Basitu bil-Jud yada. Allah, Basit bil-Jud. He gives like this. Alladhi la tanqisu khaza'inu. His treasury never runs out. وَلَا تَزِيدُهُ كَثْرَةُ الْعَطَاءِ إِلَّا جُودًا وَكَرَمًا. Allah is generous. When has He ever left you so you turn other than Him? This is when you get up and pray. I am talking to the one that will solve my problems. You know, when you rush your prayer, do you know what Allah says to the angels? He goes, look at my servant. He rushes the prayer to get to something that's in my hands. I'm talking to myself. Allah, want to get something out of the way, when it's in your hands, you make it happen. How many times have you rushed your prayer to get somewhere and the person you're supposed to see is late? Think about it. Think to yourself, how lousy am I that I didn't have trust with my God? You know, some people, they enter the masjid. I've seen people, they turn off their phone and they leave it in the car. I've seen it. Or they put it on silent. They don't even bring it to the masjid. They say, I'm here with the one that can solve my problems. I'm here. This is what they have, this attitude, some people. They don't need to deal with this and deal with that. I'm here with the one that can solve my problems. They're here for this time. Whatever's going out there, you know, sometimes you go, someone might call me. Yeah, don't worry. I'm here. Allah is holding what? Allah's holding the base. Allah's looking out for what's over there. Don't worry, you're here. You're in His house. He's looking out for what's out there. Have faith with Him. Then He says, in this, that at the end, وَخَزَائِنُكَ غَيْرُ, he says, مُغَلَّقَاتٍ. Doesn't say the bank's closed now. Allah will make a way for things to get to you. After the Imam finishes his prayer, this is where the hope comes in. You want to know the hope here is? The man and the Imam says, إِنَّ الْعَبْدُ لَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ إِلَّا مَا أَقْبَلَ عَلَيْهِ مِنْهَا بِقَلْبِهِ. That none of your prayers accepted except what your heart was present for. So one man says, halakna. He said, we have all perished now. Rahmatullah al-wasi'ah. When we say, Ya Rahmatullah, you know who Ahl al-Bayt are. The Imam says, Kalla. No. Inna Allah Azza wa Jal mutammimu dhalika bin nawafil. That Allah fixes up your prayers when you pray the nafilah. Imam al-Sadiq then says, Allah keeps making it easier for you. Imam al-Sadiq says, Tasbih al-Zahra is more beloved to me than 2,000 rakat of nawafil. Just Tasbih al-Zahra that people look at. It's 100 tasbihs, that's all it is. This is what completes your prayer. When you finish prayer, always do Tasbih al-Zahra. Because you know, all the panel beating for your prayer, the party work, fixing what you didn't do right, this is what Tasbih al-Zahra does. And then Allah gives His grace and mercy with what? With this hadith, I'm really sorry I've been up here for 50 minutes. Please forgive me. He says, Yabna Mas'ud. Imam Sadiq said, Yabna Mas'ud. He says, أحب الصالحين وإن المرء مع من أحب. He says, love the righteous because you are with the righteous. I was once in one of the cities overseas and one of their politicians came on TV. And one of the people sitting down, he said, I like this guy. I said, would you like to be with him on the Day of Judgment? And he said, why do I have to answer this? I said, because Imam Ali alayhi salam says, if you love a rock, you will be with that rock on the Day of Judgment. So think about what you're saying. Do you want to be with this politician? And he said, he's done good for the country. I said, no. Listen to my question. When you say, I love this guy, I love the Salihin. You know, when we read Salat al-Mayyit Janaza, we say, Allahu wahshurhu ma'man kana yuhib. You love Imam Hussein. Why? Because you want to be with Hussein alayhi salam. You're here for Majlis Ali ibn al-Hussein because you want to be with Ali ibn al-Hussein alayhi salam. He says, this is where he explains what I was saying. He says, فَإِن لَمْ تَقْدِرْ عَلَى أَعْمَالِ الْبِرِّ. If you can't do what these people are doing, لا تقدروا على هذا. You try as much as you can. The Imam's your goal, but you're not going to get there. I'll tell you from now, you're not going to get there with their position, but you push in that direction. He says, if you cannot do this, he says, فَأَحِبَّ الْعِلْمِ وَأَهْلِهِ. Love the knowledge and the أهل النowledge, who are أهل العلم, أهل البيت. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى يَقُولُ. Look what Allah says in the Quran. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ. That anyone that loves these people, Allah says in the Quran, whoever obeys them. And the most important thing is obeying Allah with your love to them. He says is what? Is with the prophets. Is with the truthful. Who are the truthful? Ahlul Bayt salawatullah salamu alayhi. And the shuhada and the witnesses. Those that witness over all our action. Allah gives us ways to receive His grace and His mercy. And this is why Imam Hussein alayhi salam, being truthful to the way of Ibrahim, that when he was thrown in the fire, that didn't turn to other than God, And he says, يكفيني عن سؤالي علمه بحالي. Allah knows my plight. I don't need to ask. Imam Hussein alayhi salam went in the direction of Karbala. When he was asked, "Oh, Abu Abdullah, you're about to be killed. Why have you taken your women? Why have you taken your children?" You know, when he was leaving in Medina, he had a daughter, and she was too ill to go with him. Her name was Fatima al-Alila, Fatima al-Sughra. So she said, she woke up and she saw them packing to leave. As they were packing to leave, she said, "Where are you going?" They said, "We're embarking on a journey." She said, "Can I not come?" They said, "Oh, Fatima, you're too ill. You can't even get up from your spot." She said, No, I can come. I'll become good and then I will help you on your journey. Take me with you." They said, "Oh, Fatima, you stay. You can't come with us. You're not capable of helping us." And then she said, "Okay, leave someone with me. Leave at least my auntie Zainab." And Imam Hussein said, "Oh, Zainab has a role in this journey. She has a position. She's going to be paraded from city to city." And she said, "Okay, then leave at least my brother Ali al-Akbar." Imam Hussein says, Ali al-Akbar has also a position. She says, "Okay, there's someone with you. One that doesn't have a role. One that cannot help you. Someone that's feeble like me." She said, "Ali Asghar." She said, "Leave Ali Asghar with me. Let Ali Asghar stay with me. At least I have someone to keep me company." Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam said, "Even this infant has a role." My dear daughter, on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein alayhi salam came towards the tent and he said, "Bring my son Ali Asghar so I may farewell him." When they came to bring his son, it says in the narration that his mouth was opening and closing like a fish that was out of water. Imam Hussein alayhi salam took Ali Asghar and then he looked at him and said, "Ya Qawm, O people, if all these people that have fought you had a reason to die, what is the sin of this infant that you have left in this position? If you do not want to give him water, at least take him and give him water on his own, so I do not take." Half the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad said, "We cannot allow this infant to die." The other half said, "Do not listen, do not give them any water, let them all die thirsty." So Umar ibn Sa'ad turned towards Harmala and said, "Oh Harmala, اقطع نزاع القوم," and this conflict between the people. Then Harmala looked towards Abi Abdullah and the infant. He said, "Is it the father or the infant?" Then Umar ibn Sa'ad saw the whiteness of the neck because Ali Asghar's head was tilted backwards. And he said, "Look, there's your target and fire. Ala la'natullah على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين." يا الله, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. People's hearts are broken and tender over all these nights, the nights of the calamity of Abu Abdullah. Oh Allah, is it possible that any of these hearts, any of these tears will not be given your mercy on the day of judgment? Is it possible that you will even punish them for even a moment? You are the one that said that even if someone sheds a tear through your Prophet, through his A'immah, that sheds a tear, oh Allah, have mercy on all the people present. All those that have shed tears of Abu Abdullah, oh Allah, do not take them from this world unless they are purified without a punishment, oh Allah. Oh Allah, make their journey from this world to the next an easy journey upon them, and place them whom they love with Muhammad and Alihi al-Athar. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of our Master. Our eyes have become hungry to see his face. Our Master Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan al-Mahdi, and grant us the opportunity to serve him. and to stand beneath his standard and be martyred by his side. اللهم كن لوليك صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته، والأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والأرواح موتانا وموتاكم، ولقضاء الحوائج وقبول الأعمال وشفاء المرضى وغفران الذنوب وتعجيل الفرج وحسن العاقبة. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
جب مجھے آپ کے خاطر نے ہے مارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے خاطر نے ہے مارا بابا، ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ نے، ہر تماچے پہ سکینہ نے پکارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے خاطر نے مارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے خاطر نے مارا بابا، مجھے بالوں سے پکڑ کر ہے تماچے مارے، مجھے بالوں سے پکڑ کر ہے تماچے مارے، میں نے سر شمر سے مانگا جو تمہارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے مارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے مارا بابا، آپ کے سینے پہ آرام سے سونے والی، آپ کے سینے پہ آرام سے سونے والی، سو کے اب خاک پہ کرتی ہے گزارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے مارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے مارا بابا، نوک نیزہ پہ سے دیکھوں تو دیکھوں کیسے، نوک نیزہ پہ سے دیکھوں تو دیکھوں کیسے، میرا سفر تھا مجھے جان سے ہے پیارا بابا، جب مجھے آپ کے قاتل
مجھے آپ کے قاتل نے ہے مارا بابا، جب مجھے تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، 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 میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے، میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے لوری بھی سناؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، لوٹ آؤ سفر سے کہ بڑی دیر ہوئی ہے، لوٹ آؤ سفر سے کہ بڑی دیر ہوئی ہے، بےتاب ہوں کب سے تجھے، بےتاب ہوں کب سے تجھے سینے سے لگاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، کوئی مجھے بتلاتا نہیں تیری نشانی، کوئی مجھے بتلاتا نہیں تیری نشانی، برسات میں تیروں کی، برسات میں تیروں کی کہاں ڈھونڈنے جاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے بابا سے تیرا جنازہ نہ اٹھے گا، بابا سے تیرا جنازہ نہ اٹھے گا، رک جا ذرا پاس کو، رک جا ذرا پاس کو، دریا سے بلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، 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 اس طرح کوئی جھوٹ کے ماں سے نہیں جاتا، اس طرح کوئی روٹ کے ماں سے نہیں جاتا، تو خود ہی بتا دے میں، تو خود ہی بتا دے میں تجھے کیسے مناؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھلاؤں، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي بالفضل العباس وأختك زينب وبنتك سكينة. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا واختك معصومة القوم. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي التقي. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد النقي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك ومحبيك ورحمة الله وبركاته. يا صاحب الزمان أدركني. يا صاحب الزمان أدركني. يا صاحب الزمان أدركني. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.